Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Lamusa if you're new here. And today I'm just going to talk about some recent news about AI, and that was something that I'm always curious about. I just never had an opportunity to talk about it. Uh, that is, of course, recently there has been some rumbling about the potential hindrance of people's ability to maintain the critical thinking level in workplace, particularly in a coding environment where they have access to generative AI, for example, Copilot. Um, and it's something I think is very, very important. And I'm going to touch on a couple of things before I go ahead and kind of talk about that for a second. So the first thing is that is so recently, this is what OpenAI sent me. That OpenAI sent me that let me see if I can put it in the center. Hello, we want to inform you that starting April 1st, 2025, sales tax will be applied to your application product and services on your invoices. If you have any question or require further clarification regarding the introduction of sales tax on your future invoices, please do not hesitate to reach out to our customer support team, best OpenAI team. Well, um, I mentioned this a little bit ago on one of my videos, the one I think it's called Galaxy AI changed my life. That was the reason I moved away from OpenAI. So I don't know if I'll personally be going back to them anytime soon, but I do appreciate the courtesy from them though. I don't know if this email is exclusive to people who are paying. Otherwise, mine's been canceled for quite some time now. I have the free version. I think I might have forgotten to completely delete it. That's probably why. But yeah, so they are apparently going to increase the pricing, right? Because of the sales tax. I mean, that's not new. Me personally, I remember using football TV. If any of you use streaming services like I think Peacock, Paramount, or yeah, Peacock, Paramount, football TV, ESPN, they will charge you a little bit of tax. If I'm not mistaken, for most of them, it used to be that they already include those things in the pricing. Therefore, you know what you're going to be paying. Except the difference now is that most of them are switching to where it's separate. I don't know whether that's some financial accounting issues in most companies or not, but at least from what I've seen so far, that's where everyone is switching to for the time being, at least. And let's get right to it. So today is a two topic. Um, the first one I mentioned earlier, and on how using code base or code helping tool like Copilot is not really helping people as much as I work as they thought initially. And also the second one is that um, while AI is going to do a lot of things for us, there is so much affinity for the progression of AI right now, and I think it's gotten us to a point where we are thinking it is already where it's not actually yet, where because I think a lot of the AI tools are still in refinement phases for most companies. And the reason why I said that is because I think that a lot of the software are in a continuous reevaluation where they'll be able to kind of re-implement certain things that they see that are kind of a little bit off, and they might be able to improve it and kind of refine it before they move on to the next phase. And they will kind of move on slowly and taking into account user experience and those kind of things. So, and today you will kind of see a little bit why that is the case, right? But let's get to the first one, uh, and that is, let me see if it's going to allow me to do it. And by the way, this one is kind of associated with one of the AI tools that I personally use. Um, and let me go ahead and show that really quick before we do anything else. And let me see if it's going to allow me. It's going to allow me to do that because right now is acting really weird. Let me see if I do entire. Let me see window. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the entire screen because it's kind of weird right now. So what I use recently is that I use AI to quickly make my own budgeting tools, and the reason why I did that is because um, you know, I seen people mentioning something that I personally thought about quite a few times ago when people are mentioning how slowly that now every tools or every resource available now, they realize the value of monetizing everything. Therefore, it's really hard to get really good tools nowadays to be able to do anything. Budgeting tools are in that category right now. So I decided that I was going to do my own little budgeting tools. So let's look at that really quick. And I use Cloud Summit, by the way, to do this one. And that will kind of bring you back to, um, let me put that here. I think if I type budget here, it's going to pop up budget. So you're going to see two template here. So the first one is the actual, it is a text in notepad. And the second one is the actual calculator that we're going to take a look at for a second. So let me see if it's going to allow us to view it. So this is the code here. Nothing fancy, just, you know, small code for budgeting. And you can see how many lines is it. I don't think it's more than 30. But there's just a lot of line, obviously. But it's a little under 1900 characters, right? With 43 columns, and it's not that bad here, right? As you can see, and I will show you right now. So let's go back for a second, and then this was the second part of it. So we did the first one and we didn't like it as much, so we decided we're going to refine it, change it. So this is the full new one that I'm using here, from here to the bottom. By the way, this is HTML file, and this was done by Cloud Summit. So let's close this for a second, and then let's go back to the real tool. Once I said don't save if I accidentally make a mistake. And let's check that through really quick. So you can see this is my own little budgeting tool here. And also I made some modification on it that I will see if I can add that later. That is essentially, I want the budget to be saved in memory every time I do something, because this is a locally store budget app. The only tricky thing about it, if you were to change computer, you will lose essentially the store values, right? Because everything is stored locally. I don't know how I'm going to be able to save this if it's not local, because I do not want to have to pay up for a web domain yet. So that's why I save locally. But yeah, some of the small thing I did with it, but this is not as important. Let's get to now. Let's get to what we're here for. So this was the first thing I saw last week, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit, and I just couldn't. Right. This one is from futurism OpenAI research. As you can see here, OpenAI researchers find that even the best AI is unable to solve majority of coding problems. And here you kind of see here, OpenAI researchers have admitted that even the most advanced AI model still has no math for human coders, even though CAS Sam Altman said they will be able to beat low-level software engineer by the end of the year. Well, yeah, I mean, keyword by the end of the year, low-level code, keyword right here by the end of the year. That is not where we are, based on how everything is going right now. That's not where most of us are looking at so far. And the reason why is because due to, oops, I accidentally click on this. Due to the hype of AI in recent memories, I don't think anyone is looking at AI as anything, oh, it's going to be able to help out software engineer by solving low level software engineer by the end of the year. I mean, people are already thinking it can solve advanced software coding issues. Apparently not, based on their own research so far. It's not as enticing and not as advanced as everyone have thought initially. Researchers use a new developed benchmark called SME Lancer. Okay, software engineer Lancer. So specifically built for software engineer, built on more than 1,400 software engineering tasks from freelancer sites such as Upwork using benchmark. OpenAI put three language model LLM. It owns O1 reasoning model and a flagship of GPT 4.40, as well as Entropy Cloud 3.5 submit to the test. Okay, this is why I was showing you the calculator, by the way. I personally use this one, and I mentioned it numerous times why I think so far when it comes to um, technically solving problems related to technical issues, so far I have not found a tool, AI tool yet that is able to um, solve problem as much as this one yet, but most of my stuffs are very basic anyway, and this has been the best one so far, and it's not even close. Sometimes a lot of the other ones don't give you the same answer, so I'm glad to see that CloudSummit is here. That means they did something right, and it's been recognized at least in the tech world. So specifically, the new benchmark evaluated how well LLM perform with two types of tasks from Upwork individual tasks, which involve resolving bugs and implementing fixes to them. Well, that's a tough ask. Not just resolving bugs, but they also need to implement the fix. Yeah, that involves a lot of um a lot of testing times and reevaluations. Um, so I don't know how they can just fix this one. If I'm not mistaken, you actually need to know how to do regression testing to be able to deal with some of these things, because once you able to solve the problem, now let's say you implement the fix, but you need to do your regression testing to make sure there is no new error that are popping up that were not there prior. So I'm not, yeah. So this is not an easy task by any means. Or a management task that so that the model trying to zoom out and make higher level of decision. The model weren't allowed to access the internet, meaning they could just scribble similar answers that were put. Well, well, if you're gonna to depend on a model that utilizes a web-based interface for text indexing and be able to kind of quickly extract information and then make reason with them, then cutting the internet would be an interesting thing. Things in there, I think, at least because that would mean that this AI model need to be trained with so much data is ridiculous. The model took on task cumulative worth hundreds of thousands of dollars on Upwork, but they were only able to fix surface level software issues. That's not. Yeah. Hopefully, we're gonna be able to see some big progresses, some big progress very soon, because on the surface issue, these are things that typically junior software engineer can deal with. And if after spending so much money, that's what you're able to do, you spend the money on this AI model, spend the money to train them, and now they utilize the resources in order for them to keep running, and they can only solve on the surface issue. Uh, at that rate, it's almost, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think it's almost safe to say that you would have been better off in that type of scenario having a junior dev as opposed to a AI model at that point, because you, um, you wouldn't you wouldn't save money by the sound of it, because a lot of the training models require like extreme amount of data for them to be trained properly before they can reason really well. So um yeah, I'm not sure how useful this is. I mean, having read this, I'm kind of a little bit more concerned with the progress of AI tools in general, and based on like what I personally been doing, AI model is able to kind of sample a small portion of the AI tools. I've seen this firsthand where the the product has been sell. I'm not saying all of them are like just bad, but my expectation, I came into um I came in trying to do something, expecting too much too soon. I think it's the right way to say it, because I came in based on the publications and the commercial and all the advertisement that I saw from them. I was expecting so much, only to realize that that is too much of a ask, at least for the time being. And yeah, and based on their own research, is kind of proof why I was feeling that way, right? And that is because they have not advanced to that point. We are just used to expecting AI model to do everything for us so far. Just that's because early on we had ChatGPT just be able to spit out answer on a on a snap due to the fact that it was trained with using so much data, right? Um, though all three AI models are often able to operate far faster than a human would, that is expected. The data is already predetermined, so and that is nothing more than a binary computational like step at that point. It's just a computer, ones and zeros. So would the paper note they also failed to grab how widespread bugs were or to understand their context. Something I think that's going to be a major challenge in the future, in the long-term future or the near future, and that is the fact that um, a lot of software engineer, based on their own training and experiences, they can derive a lot of context from their previous project that's going to be able to help them solve issues. And then now, when you have AI software doing it, are are people going to solve issues and document all of it and upload all of it into and index them into a usable data for the AI models? Because if they don't, then this will always be an issue in my mind. Understanding the context, this is very critical right here. It's also the difference between most of us young people in technology and senior people in technology that's been there for 20 plus years, because they have so much context to derive information from. It's a great wisdom. I don't know how they're gonna basically bridge that gap between um, new AI model being trained using both junior and senior software engineer and get everything together. I mean, that just means more training data, and I think 99% likely more cost. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that. Lead to the solution that are incorrect or insufficient comprehensively. Oh, not just minor, comprehensively, right? As research explained, the cloud may perform better than two OpenAI models that spit against it and make more money than open than 01 and ChatGPT 4. Or this one is not a surprise for me personally. I mentioned this a few times now that I personally use Cloud Summit. I'll show it to you in a little bit. But if you've seen any of my video about um, AI tools and why I switched to Galaxy AI, among all of them I've been using, this one has always been one of my options, and that's actually it's been the most technically informed AI tool so far for me. I don't know how long that's going to be, but so far they have set the standard for how a lot of things can be done when it comes to understanding technical aspect of information. So no surprise here. The majority of the answer were wrong, and according to the researcher, any model would need higher reliability to be trusted with real life coding tasks. Yeah, no surprise there. Yeah. One of something I keep thinking about, though, I don't know if this is gonna leave me soon or not, but I keep thinking. So they mention here the model would need high reliability to be trusted with real life coding tasks. Since AI models are trained on previous data and previous issues that we already experienced, would they be able to reason with a new data that's never been solved before? That is kind of my question, because I think that's the biggest challenge, right? Um, the day AI is going to be able to solve a new problem that's never been solved before, I think that's the day we're going to have some serious conversation about essentially the restructuring of a human and the restructuring of our infrastructure, right? Because the day AI is going to be able to do that, we're going to be able to achieve a lot, and I don't know how How are we going to deal with it? I know if it happens, it's going to be a lot of shock to a lot of people. It'll be good short term. It's going to be very chaotic because it is one of the biggest questions for me right now. Can AI solve a problem that's never been solved before? Because all the data that it had is being is already been utilized by a human being, solved multiple times, uploaded, indexed for the AI to read and be able to reason. So I'm not quite sure. But for planning, the paper seemed to demonstrate that although these frontier models can work quickly and solve zoom in tight, they are nowhere near as skilled at handling them as human engineers. Yeah, no surprise here. No surprise here. Though these LLM have advanced rapidly over the past few years and will likely continue to do so, they are still not skilled enough as software engineers to replace real life people open yet. Not that that's stopping the CAO from firing human being code in favor of immature AI model. Yeah, I mean, at this we know that was coming. I mean, that section was coming. The big question now though is how long, how long, right? And that's pretty much it for this one. And the last one is kind of related. Um, let's see if I can that. So this one, um, so Microsoft researchers, this was an article written by Microsoft. I'm not sure if this is the original document now, but it looks like it's a rewritten, it's like rewritten version from the Forbes by Dimitri Mixmilo. Okay. Um, I can't find the original one, but Microsoft themselves wrote it. That's before it starts spreading around. So essentially, the story is that Microsoft has found it that people who work, um, particularly people who are coders and software engineer, when they work in an environment where they can enable Copilot, what's happening to them? They slowly stop relying on the tools and don't think critically anymore, and that is now slowly affecting the quality of content that they are producing or trying to produce, which is not good for long term, right? Because essentially, what that's doing is slowly kind of nosediving the quality of the content is been putting out, and that's not good for them. So this is it. Um, sure, AI can speed up the completion of many tasks and boost productivity, but it also may be making us dumber. Also suggested a new study by Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon. Okay, so this is actually by Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon University. So two different institutions that has been done at. Which is surveyed 319 knowledge workers to examine how and when they rely on AI model to perform work-related tasks, and how and to what extent that impact their own perception of their critical thinking abilities. The outcome: the more workers tap AI for help, the less critical thinking they did. For me, this is natural. Um, the study further noted that relying on AI changes the way workers engage critical thinking faculty, shifting their focus toward information verification, response integration, and as stewardship in such instances. Conversely, the survey the survey lean on their mental faculties, the more critical thinking they had to do. AI tools appear to reduce the perceived effort required for critical thinking tasks among knowledge workers, especially when they have higher confidence in the AI capability. The researcher wrote, right, however, AI worker who are confident in their own skills tend to perceive greater effort in these tasks, particularly when evaluating and applying AI responses. AI is also making us more narrow-minded. People using AI for critical thinking tool were more likely to produce less diverse set of outcomes for the same task compared to those. Right? I have by this way when they talk about a diverse set of outcome, I have something to say about it toward the end because I think this is a critical point right here. I think this will affect majority company later on, and I think there's gonna come a realization later on that we're gonna have to some find a way to allow AI to derive different answer based on the way it's been asked. And if it's asked the same way, will it be able to deduce proper reasoning and derive the information that we wanted? Because this point right here is critical. The standalone takeaway from the study, though, is that a key irony of automation is that by by mechanizing routine tasks and leaving exception handling to the human user, you deprive the use of routine opportunity to practice their independent judgment and strengthen their cognitive musculature, musculature, leaving them atrophied and unprepared when exceptions do arrive. Yeah, that's just spot on right there. AI isn't all that bad. The study further um, posit that AI still facilitates improvement in workforce efficiency. What I mean, improve. I would say I personally have not had the opportunity to work with AI yet, but at least based on what I see so far, it has allowed people to be able to quickly get a predetermined issue that's been solved before. Therefore, getting the answer, you don't need much help to get it, and you don't need to go to different people to get it. You can just type the question and get the answer in a few seconds. Um, make it faster, I would say yes, but improve, then I'm not so sure about that, because what happened when the context change and it cannot derive the information in the database that's been indexed already, then what? Then you won't get a reliable source, right? Because you will get a very broad answer that's not really answering the question you want. The trade-off, this can inhibit critical engagement with workers and can potentially lead to long-term or reliance on the tools and diminish skill for independent problem solving. Instead, make us dumber. The dispute over whether technology makes us dumber is another new. It only makes sense researchers are asking the same questions. Um, the big tech is gearing up to drop billions into accelerating AI development. We should be wary of downsizing or relying on AI and the dent it could leave on our thinking faculty. So more research is good. Well, yeah, this is pretty much it. Here and the last one here, for years, there have been a debate whether spell checking tool like Grammarly and automation it made us worse speller, while there are no academic consequences, such as tool has only made us lazier speller. Um, yeah, I mean, I think there is a upside and a downside to everything we have now. Not just now, that's been the case for the longest time, and I think it's up to us to kind of, you know, to for us, it's like a problem that you need to think about once a while. That is not so critical, and that is for sure. For example, if you're worrying about uh, potentially not being able to use your critical thinking or thinking the way you would like, then whenever you are, for example, you write an essay and you don't want to use Grammarly, if I'm not mistaken, at least me personally, I have the option to turn off every time I want. That way, if I want to really test out to see what I'm doing or not, and also I can completely make sure that I don't even download it if I don't want to rely on it so much, right? So I think that's more of a personal choice. And since that is always going to be the case where everyone has the ability to choose for what they think is best for their own life, it's always going to be a challenge to try to say that we need to simmer down on the usage, right? And that's pretty much it here. I'm not able to do another AI tool right now, and that is because there are a lot of AI tools that have free um, a trial, but they're not really related to IT, which is why I'm thinking of finding a few different new ones before I do another video. So if you stay here so long, let me know what do you think about the AI landscape, in particular when it comes to using the code base situations, and also when it comes to problem solving, right? Because people think that AI can just solve any problem. Apparently, the research proved that is not the case yet. Um, Potentially in the near future, but not yet. And also the fact that the over reliance on it. Me personally, I think that's already happening. I think at this rate, I don't think we have a technology in place already implemented. Not that we don't have the technology, I should rephrase that. Not that we don't have the technology, we have not implemented a solution to be able to kind of gather the data for that particular thing. But I think there's already an over reliance on technology. And one last point, the fact that big companies are willing to pour billions of dollars into it, I think that's an indication that this is going to be something that is going to drive our life for a foreseeable future. So let me know, what do you think? Do you think AI is going to be able to solve the problem on the major coding issue very soon? And do you think relying on AI tools is it good or a bad thing? Thank you for stopping by, and until the next one, take care.